What's up? How is everybody doing out there in Shiny Land? Are we doing good? Are we ready for another Coffee with Michael? The best show on the internet right now related to print on demand, e-commerce. It's Shine On. The best one this week, guaranteed. Has anybody been watching the news lately? Have you guys seen that TikTok might be getting the... You guys seen that? Well, you know what TikTok doesn't have, don't you? You know what it doesn't have? It doesn't have the digital marketer's toast, does it? That should tell you something. Maybe we should start streaming the toast into TikTok so that we can save it. I don't know. Maybe. You guys should think about it. You know the protective powers of the toast, right? I'm hearing CPMs are down. Conversions are coming easy. You know what I'm talking about. What's up, Facebook user? How's it going? Martin, what is up? Gail, how are you doing? Welcome. Diana, happy Friday. Let's do it. This is the best way to kick off a weekend right here. Coffee with Michael, Digital Marketer's Toast, hanging out with your fam at Shine On. Good afternoon from a Brit living in Spain. What's up? How are we doing? If you're a Facebook user here, go to StreamYard.com/Facebook and let me see your name. That would be amazing. What's up from Germany? Robert from Oregon. How we doing? Very good. I got a really cool show for you today. It's going to be fun. Luna Vega is in the house. Now, I know most of you know Luna. She's a bit of a legend around here. She'll be coming on here shortly. We got a few things we got to do. Anybody that tunes in weekly knows what's up here. What is up? Booty from Jakarta. How are we doing? We represent all but one of the continents on Coffee with Michael every week. The only continent that is missing is Antarctica, sadly. And we do have volunteers to go to Antarctica to do the toast from Antarctica. We actually have volunteers. We just need some money to send them there. Thinking about starting a GoFundMe page for those people. If you think that's a good idea, you let me know. What's up from the Netherlands, Canada, Egypt? Yeah, I dig it. Stacy from Kenya, welcome. It's going to be an amazing show today. Really looking forward to it. Okay. Etsy POD myths busted. Why beginners fail and how you can crush it. There are going to be some unexpected truths here. I've checked out some of Luna's content. It's going to be awesome. You're going to enjoy it. Stay tuned. Do me a favor, like the post. Like this post. If you're on YouTube, you got to, what is it you got to do? You got to smash that like button and karate chop the notification bell and whatever else you do on YouTube. Make sure you like, subscribe, do all that good stuff so you never miss one of our videos. If you're on Facebook, please like the post. Let Facebook know you dig this content. All right, let's keep going. Swag winners from last week. Lisa, I just hit a big milestone, $11,000 with my Etsy store. Look at that. That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. Majority of my traffic is organic. Thank you, Luna Vega. Already popular, Luna. Your reputation precedes you. Thank you, Luna, for helping me get here in such a short time. Her coaching program helped me understand what I was doing all along. I can't wait for what I was doing wrong all along. I can't wait for Mother's Day. It's only upwards from here. Excuse me, guys. I'm kind of getting over a cold. All right. So excited. Just opened my store yesterday morning. Started running ads. Got my first sale today. $80. Great AOV on this, by the way. That's amazing. Love to see people's first sales. First dollar you make online is life-changing. It's paradigm shifting, right? It blows open the doors on what's possible. So that's amazing. Great job. All right. Bingby. Hope I got that right. Looks like it's a profile page. Okay. Here's what I got so far this year. I only do Facebook ads. I realize how little effort I put into this. I know my products have potential. Today got me thinking about how far I could have gotten if I hustle more. Don't be me. Hustle. Next on the agenda is Etsy and Amazon. Good luck, everyone. $2,000 in revenue, 41 units sold. Congratulations. I totally agree. You got to show up every day. What I like to tell people is You don't want any 0 days, right? Any 0 days. You know what your goal is. Every single day, show up, take one action towards your goal at least. One action towards your goal at least, right? No matter what kind of day you had, no matter what maybe your boss said to you, no matter how you're feeling, right? No matter any of that stuff, what else you got going on, you will not have a non-zero day. That's what you need to tell yourself. Drag your butt to a chair, get that laptop in front of you, and do one meaningful thing to move your business forward every single day. Every single day. Anyways, great. Thank you for sharing that. You got some swag coming your way. Melanie, okay, had to share my excitement. Created a Shopify store last month when I started the 14-day challenge. Have gone through a huge learning curve of Facebook ads. Excuse me. I did the farming method with $25 a day, took the ones with good results, moved them to a CBO campaign with $50 a day. Within 2 hours of being active, I got my first sale and another one an hour later. Love seeing others in the group share their success. It's been very motivating. Now I want to share mine. Hopefully help others who need motivation and encouragement. Don't give up. You'll get there. Great work, Melanie. Thank you so much for sharing this. That's amazing. $140 in revenue with 2 sales, $87 in profit. That's awesome. It's only up from here. You got Mother's Day right around the corner too. So sales are going to get a little bit easier as we get close to the holiday season. Great job. Whoa, I got a lot of these today. Okay, last one, Angel. What's up, everybody? I wanted to share a little bit of my e-com journey. When I started e-commerce, I was drop shipping from China, found a winner, had success, but with time hit rock bottom. Don't need to get into details. That's not the point. I saw Coffee with Michael video on YouTube, started looking into print-on-demand jewelry, did some more research, loved the business model. I'm here giving it another crack, expecting a baby in October. During our conversation with the doctor, we finally heard our first real cha-ching. Hey, that's pretty cool. In the doctor's office. That's cool. Good news all around there. I have TikTok ads going right now. Really happy. Want to thank David for helping me with phrases, graphic designers. Forgive me. I'm not going to run through all the names here. That's amazing. $97.88 on a single order. That's incredible AOV, by the way. Great job on that. That's amazing. So cool that I love this little picture too of the ultrasound. Oh, you're in the car, ultrasound, and you also got your cha-ching. That's amazing. Congratulations to you all the way around. Parenthood is awesome, by the way. You're going to enjoy that. Okay, if you too would like to get some free swag, here's how you can do it. Every single week, we grab 2 to 5 posts from the group. We're looking for tips, tricks, hacks, value posts, testimonials, screenshots of sales, that kind of thing. If we feature you here, you will get a discount to our swag store. We've got hoodies, t-shirts, mugs, all kinds of good stuff in the swag store. I'm almost always wearing some Shine On swag. You're going to love it. You're going to love it. Okay, let's keep going here. Okay, latest news. Gift wrap is available now in the EU. Anybody that's been waiting on that, it is there in the EU now, right? It was only a US product. So for Mother's Day, you're going to be able to take advantage of this. Make sure you're using a Shine On product page so that you can sell the gift wrap. Very important. All right, we got the live preview up here. This is for the new thin script font. So we already have the live preview for the other one. This is thin script font. Guys, stay tuned because we have a bunch of new product releases right around the corner. I'm pretty sure I have one today, actually, here a little later in the deck. We have the best live preview, I think, that exists out there. I've scoured the internet. I haven't found anything that comes close to what we have here. I mean, it looks real. It is the necklace, and it's previewing live in front of your face. This is going to increase conversions. Make sure you're using our product page if you're selling this product. By the way, this thin script font is super trendy right now, and it is selling really well. So you're going to want to experiment with that. All right, Mother's Day. The big kahuna is May 14th, right? May 14th, you have USA, Australia, New Zealand, and Canada. All these markets, all English-speaking markets, all big, lots of discretionary spending. They all celebrate Mother's Day. This is the big kahuna, right? May 14th this is what everything's building to from now until the shipping cutoff. You need to be testing for Mother's Day. Now, the biggest niches for Mother's Day, it surprises a lot of people. I think niche number 1 is like grandparents, or I'm sorry, it's moms to daughters and grandparents to granddaughters, right? That's niche number 1. Niche number 2 is like husbands to wives. And then number 3 is to mom, right? So don't think you have to make every product around to mom. Now, the reason is because you got, you know, lots of new, maternity is another big niche, but you have lots of new moms and they still have parents or grandparents and they gift, you know, it's like Mother's Day is a big thing where everyone's gifting to everybody kind of thing. So don't get, you know, tunnel vision on just trying to sell like to my mom type stuff. There are other niches that sell really well as we go into Mother's Day. Shine On Pro. I'm going to touch on this real quickly. Shine On Pro is kind of a new offering we have here. It's got 4 courses in it. Amazon FBA program, the cash on delivery program. It's got a post-purchase program. We do weekly office hours. It's pretty amazing. It's only $49 a month. You're kind of crazy if you're not signing up for this. It's an incredible value. So go check that out. Shine On Pro. You can find it right inside of the app. Excuse me, guys. The Shine On Challenge. This is now free. We were charging $49 a month for it. I'm sorry, $49 for it. So the cool thing about the challenge, and I'm not making this up, it's like 90% of the people that complete the challenge get their first sale, right? In fact, I think the data last week was like 92, 93%. We track this every single week. If you take the challenge and if you complete it, that's the important part. You got to complete it. Something like 90% of the people are getting a sale. So if you want to go from 0 to 1, right? If you're new to this game, you're trying to learn the ropes, you're trying to figure this out, you want to go to 0 to 1, this is for you. ShineOnChallenge.com if you want to sign up. It is free. It's free. There is no value like this anywhere else on the internet. I would have killed to have had something like this when I started Print on Demand in 2017. I didn't have anything like this. We were all kind of, fumbling around in the dark trying to figure this stuff out. And now you have incredible resources like the challenge. Go take advantage of it. Okay. The app, we're in the App Store. Go leave us a review. Talk about that every week. If you want to stay up to date, where's my product release? I think it got delayed. We have a product coming out. You might hear about it later today in the Facebook group, okay? I think there was one minor bug that they caught this morning, so they must have taken it out of my deck. But there's a new product coming out. It's pretty cool. Definitely going to sell for Mother's Day. You're going to want to check it out. Stay tuned in the Facebook group. Should be released today. I'd be shocked if it doesn't get released today. If you ever, go on vacation, God forbid, you get sick, something like that. If you're ever just not in the Facebook group every single day, engaging, communicating, watching Coffee with Michaels, and you miss an announcement, it should never happen. But if that were to happen, you at the top of the Facebook group can click this little featured button. This is like a curated newsfeed of all the latest and greatest stuff that we're releasing at Shine On. And you can get caught up lickety split. So anything we think is announcement worthy, it all gets marked in here. You can see new products, Coffee with Michael, shots of espresso, all that good stuff. It all lands right here. Okay, we ready to rock and roll? Are we ready to rock and roll? If you guys are ready to bring Luna on, let's go in the chat right now. We need some emojis. What emoji do we want for Luna? Let's do the little jewel, the little jewel thing, the little blue diamond thing. Let's see that in the chat. I want to see a waterfall of those things in the chat. If you're ready to talk to Luna, we'll bring her on. We're going to talk about Etsy myths. Etsy myths. Give me some jewels in the chat right now. All right. Good stuff coming in. Lots of Facebook user out there. Facebook user's probably one of my favorite watchers every week. Never misses a Coffee with Michael, this Facebook user. All right. Very good. I'm digging it. Luna, are you ready? Give me a thumbs up. Okay. Here we go. What's up?
Hey, hi everyone.
Yeah, welcome. Everybody's really excited to talk to you.
I'm excited too. I can't wait.
Yeah, they want to hear what you have to say. It's going to be cool. So Luna right now is in LA?
Yes.
In an Airbnb. Luna's like kind of jet setting all over the place. Every time I talk to Luna, she's in a different place.
I get bored easily.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Well, it's kind of neat that the type of lifestyle that this whole e-com thing provides.
I know. That's the beauty of it. Got to take advantage, right? Laptop lifestyle.
Heck yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. All right, we're excited to get into what you have to share today. But before we do, we kick everything off with a digital marketer's toast.
Yeah.
We do this every week. This is why TikTok's getting banned and Facebook isn't. quite honestly. If they
Because
had a
of the
digital marketer's
toast.
toast, it is.
I
It
know.
is. I know you probably think I'm joking, but it holds the world together. Get this,
So
Luna.
shameful.
So probably 4 or 5 weeks ago, I had to go to Florida. And for 2 weeks, we didn't have a digital marketer's toast. And during those 2 weeks, there were like UFOs coming in. We had Chinese weather balloons floating over the United. It was crazy. It was crazy. And as soon as we started the toast again, it all stopped. It all stopped.
I love that.
I'm telling
That's
you.
awesome.
I'm telling you, there is something to it. It's holding the universe together. Every week we do it. Somebody reports getting tingles from the top of their head, the bottom of their feet. People get sales during the toast. It's pretty
I love
unreal.
that.
It's like a mystical experience. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. All right, everybody,
You need
ready?
to add some unicorns then in the slides.
Oh, you should have. You should have. You never know. One might appear magically now that we do the toast. Raise up your glasses, mugs, bottles, and flasks. Join me now for the Digital Marketer's Toast. Here's to more conversions, more cash, cheap CPMs and lower CACs, higher CTRs, much higher CVRs, to enable ad accounts and big bank accounts, upsells, downsells, and cross-sells, to winning products and repeat sales, and to the thing that everybody knows, the riches are in the niches, but also your email flows. Cheers, everybody. There we go. That's it right there. The whole world.
I love it.
Getting closer
Riches
together.
and dishes.
Heck yeah. Yeah. And now that dopamine, like there was like a simultaneous dopamine hit that just all across the world here, all across the world, except Antarctica. Everybody else got the benefit though. Okay. Let's get into it. Luna, I'm going to kind of hand the mic to you.
Okay.
Why don't you, real quick, for anybody who doesn't know who you are, why don't you kind of introduce yourself, how you got here, that kind of thing.
Yes.
And then, yeah, you just tell me when to change the slides, and your wish is my command over here.
Absolutely. So actually my story started in 2017. So I was drop shipping and doing print on demand. And back then I was actually doing print on demand t-shirts, like crypto t-shirts, because that was a big thing in 2017. So fast forward, actually, at the time I was living in Barcelona, and I actually met Eric at a conference, and that's when I first heard of Shine On. And doing t-shirts and selling them through Shopify, I just didn't have enough margins. So I loved the idea of doing Shine On and having higher profit margins. So I ended up, I think it took me a little while to get started, but then eventually when I did, my first winner was a Father's Day gift, which I was running traffic to my Shopify store. And then after testing, I just wasn't able to replicate that. Like I was like stuck with that one niche, and I wasn't able to replicate it. I even remember I got on a call with Michael and I was like, I don't get it. Because I mean, to be honest, that's the other thing like that I'm going to mention through this is like a lot of us, like either we're like complete beginners or we're experienced. So like sometimes our ego gets in the way. And for me, it totally did. And so I kind of had to take a step back. And that's when I decided, you know what, I'm going to try Etsy. And that was like a completely different like Pandora box and also complete different ecosystem. I kind of had to learn from scratch, but I ended up having a much better time understanding how it worked. And it just made more sense for me than continuing Shopify. So here I am, I guess 2 years later, and super excited to share with you guys like everything I've learned along the way.
That's crazy. I actually remember that phone call now.
Yeah.
You speak of it. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
insane. That
And
was
looking
like
back, and it's so funny because looking back, I was like, yeah, no wonder. Like some of the creative that I was putting out there wasn't all that good. And I was also copying, like, and I remember you telling me, like, well, maybe that's the problem. I was like, yeah, I guess.
Well, that's awesome. Well, you have been making waves in Etsy, and I know I don't know if you sell on TikTok or not, but I know you have a huge TikTok profile, which I think we talk about a little bit later, so we can get to that. That's really cool. Well, are you ready to jump into it here?
I'm ready.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah. So I guess I just want to go back to like mindset, right? And I think a lot of time we get caught up and have this preconceived notion of what a platform is. And so we think that essentially with Etsy, and simply I know this from a lot of the comments I get on social media or within my Facebook group, is this preconceived notion that it's all about driving traffic to a listing, kind of as you do with Shopify. You're like driving traffic to your listing, and that's why you're not getting sales, because you're not able to drive enough traffic. Well, you need to take a step back and you need to put yourself in the shoe of your customer. Individuals who go on Etsy, they're actively looking for gifts, and they also already trust Etsy. And when you are on the Etsy marketplace, it's very different than with Shopify, because essentially when they're on Etsy, you're competing right then and there with all these other sellers based on the keyword that you're ranking for, right? And so this is why you need to think of it very differently and put yourself in the shoes of your customer and really think of your avatar when you're creating these listings. Can we go to the next slide? So part of the issue that some are experiencing is that first and foremost, Etsy is maturing. Like Etsy is very different when I started 2 years ago, just like Shopify, TikTok, like anything is maturing, right? So creative and creatives that worked well 2 years ago obviously don't work well now, right? So you have to adapt, and you always have to be in the pulse of things, right? There's definitely more competition, but that's not a bad thing. Like competition should never scare you, because competition means that people are making money in these platforms. So there's plenty of opportunities.
Yeah.
It's harder to get right. Like, I mean, that's the thing. I think a lot of people get caught up in like sort of like red ocean versus blue ocean. But red ocean is actually opportunities. It means that there's plenty of opportunities for you to be in the space. You just have to think of it differently. You have to think outside the box, right? It's also harder to get sales than it was. Like to be completely transparent, when I first uploaded on Etsy, I had already like 300 listings from all my trials and error. And I was starting to get sales like pretty quickly. However, I had to optimize my listing and understand how Etsy works in order to take it to new heights. Also the raising cost of advertising, whether, it's TikTok, Shopify, or even Etsy fees or Etsy ads. And then overall, like applying tactics from a couple years ago, like all these platforms are always ever evolving, whether it's Amazon, Walmart, in my case, I'm talking Etsy. So you have to keep all these things into consideration. Next slide. So overall, Etsy is an amazing source of organic traffic. This is why I absolutely love Etsy. Etsy shoppers are actively looking for gifts, right? Like they're on Etsy, they're ready to shop. Unlike when you're on the Facebook feed where you kind of are interrupting their day-to-day. Like Etsy, you already have, I think the latest number I saw is like 96 million users go on Etsy to shop, right? So it's a marketplace. And so when you go on the feeds, obviously, like you are competing with other sellers. So you cannot treat it as you would with TikTok or Facebook or Amazon, because it's a very different beast. Even though it is SEO driven, it's not as SEO driven as you might think. So there's really always a huge emphasis on keywords like the perfect SEO, the perfect title. And yet those things matter. But if your listing is vanilla and doesn't stand out, you can add all these bells and whistles, you're still not going to get sales. So that's a problem that I see overall. People spend too much time thinking about SEO, traffic, and all these things, which are nice to have and will help, but that's only 5% of the equation. Because if your foundation, your actual listing doesn't have the substance, you're never going to be able to get the eyeballs to begin with. Next slide. So here's what makes me cringe. I spend a lot of time on YouTube, and I have a YouTube channel that I've been working on. And every time I see these tips, I just want to take my coffee and slam it on my forehead. So The first thing is that you need to spend countless hours like creating this beautiful store and upload like 20 Etsy listings. That is not true. People barely go on the actual storefront. If they see something they love, they will purchase it, even if you have no reviews. Because if it's strong enough and it speaks to them as a consumer, they will be all about it, right? So you don't need to, I mean, I've seen stores that have the worst banners, the worst branding, and they're pulling in like 50 sales or 100 sales a week. So it's not as much as about branding as you think it is. And actually, that's the benefit of Etsy. It's very beginner friendly. This is why I love teaching Etsy, right? It's not as well about only finding low competition niches. Like, so obviously going after a low competition niche does help, right? Because there's less competition, less saturation. But the problem with these low competition niche that nobody talks about is the fact that you're not getting enough traffic, right? So if you're going after a very obscure niche that only has 500 searches a month, guess what's going to happen? You're not going to get those consistent sales. You're going to get maybe a few sales sporadically. And yeah, it helps long term, but it's not going to help you make it to the next level. So that's also really bad advice. Yeah, there's another advice that I've seen, like, oh, get your relatives to buy so you can leave a review. You can get sales with no reviews. People trust Etsy. People know if something goes wrong with Etsy, like they can message Etsy directly. This is why like there's issues a lot of times of people getting their store banned when they're starting out, because Etsy has really active bots in place to make sure that you are a compliant seller. So make sure to understand that people trust Etsy as a platform, versus when you're dealing with Shopify, you do need to put more work into having like a beautiful website. And thank God you work with Shine On. Like Shine On kind of does all the work for you when it comes to having like a landing page that's going to be high converting. Well, with Etsy, the work is done. You don't have to think about that. But where you have to put most of your energy is having that listing that's going to get you eyeballs, right? Then there's this whole other concept of like promote your listing on Pinterest and Instagram and everywhere else and do Etsy ads. And I'm not saying that doesn't work. Obviously it works. But the problem is you spend your time doing this on listings that are completely vanilla. So it's like almost effort lost. If your listing is not getting sales, I don't want you to spend another dime in ads, because Etsy is really good when it comes to organic and able to and it's going to also help you rank your listing if you have a strong listing, right? But if your listing is not strong and it's just kind of like blending in, obviously it's going to be deranked in the pages, right? So you adding money and traffic and whatnot, it's not going to help you unless you already have a winner. So that's another thing that's a complete waste of time. And then another advice that I've seen that also makes me cringe is, oh, you need to make sure that you price your item lower than your competition. So that's kind of what happens a lot of times on Etsy, is that you kind of see like a price drive to the bottom. And that's not the solution. Guys, I will tell you this during Christmas and even now, because I was testing this really actively, like adding 20% discounts and whatnot. People were buying my items full price with shipping on top. Because also like I started also testing shipping, like adding the shipping fee versus not. And because of the overall Etsy fees and whatnot, I decided to add shipping within the cost. And I no longer offer free shipping. And it hasn't hindered my conversion rate. If anything, it's made it even higher. So do not race to the bottom. Do not follow what other sellers are doing. If it speaks to them, they will purchase it. Next slide.
Hey, something you said here that really stood out to me. You basically said that you can't, like, you don't want to run ads until you have a winner, right?
Yeah.
Like that's very different than you're thinking on Facebook or TikTok, where you're essentially you have to run ads to see if you have a winner. Here, it's like you're saying, no, make your listings, let the algorithm and you know what Etsy does organically do the work. And if you start getting signals that something is a winner that's getting sales, then you can start to run ads, right? And the ads will help that. It will compound that. But if the listing
Exactly.
itself is not already selling organically, you're probably just throwing money away. That's
Exactly.
a total paradox. I would have not have guessed that.
Yeah, no, exactly. Because like the Etsy algorithm does all the work for you. It will tell you whether or not something has potential. And if it doesn't, and it knows that really quickly, I would say the longest that it takes me to get a sell when I have like a winner is 7 days.
Wow.
Usually it happens within a day. Yeah. And I know like,
Wow.
okay, I'm in the right direction.
That's
And
cool.
so at that point, I wait a little longer. And once I know that I have consistent sales, then I start running the ads. And if I only have like a one off sell, I go back to the listing and I tweak it because I know, okay, it's there, but not quite there yet. So I look at what I can do to optimize it even more. But
Wow,
yeah,
that's
that's a
cool.
very different paradigm. Okay, so obviously the problem is like a lot of people apply these back tactics and they get frustrated. And I get it. They think Etsy's the issue. They can't figure out why they're not cracking the code. They're uploading products. They don't really have a strategy in place. They're lowering the product price because they're like, oh, everybody's prices are much lower. They're losing money because they're spending all this money on Etsy ads. Like, I mean, if you have 50 to 100 listings and they're all on Etsy ads, obviously you're going to be losing money, especially if you don't have a winner. So you really start thinking Etsy's the issue and you start thinking it's too saturated and there's just no way out of it. But I have the solution for you. Next slide. So couple hard truths first. You do not need to have a niche store. That's another thing that baffles me when I see on YouTube, like, oh, you need to come up with your niche. You need to have a general store. And actually in drop shipping, like, or even with print on demand, that's something that that's something that's actually that we tell everyone. It's just like, make sure you have a general store because you don't know what's going to work for you. And we also all have different affinities and things that we have more knowledge of. So like you might do really well with one niche and not as well with another, right? So there's also like your personal preferences. So like upload different niches, like try as many things as possible. Like at first you're kind of like testing out the waters, right? You don't need any reviews to get sales. If people really like your listing and it really speaks to them, and I'm going to show you guys examples, by the way, they will buy it. You don't need to drive more traffic with Pinterest and Etsy ads unless you have a winner. And you don't need to spend hours uploading thousands of listings. That's another big myth that's out there, that you need to have like 3,000 listings. That's not the case. Like you just need to be very strategic. You don't need to spend all this time, because that's another thing. A lot of folks are like, oh, I want to better understand how SEO works and how to do my titles and whatnot. And yes, it does matter. But again, like I will show you listings that have the worst SEO, the worst creative. And because they understood how Etsy works, they get sales. And I'm sure you've seen that as well. If you spend enough time on Etsy, you'll see listings that have the worst tags, the worst titles, and they're racking in the sales. So it's all about originality a lot of times. And again, like I said, you don't need to go after low competition keywords only. Next slide. So let's break it down. Okay. So overall, here are your goals. You need to kind of put yourself in the shoe of an Etsy customer, and you need to understand what are Etsy shoppers actively searching for. And that is going to change based on different data points, right? Like based on holidays, based on what time of the year it is, based on trends as well, like whether popular trends, like what's happening in the world. Like there's just a lot of factors that's going to drive that data, right? And you always want to find a way to differentiate yourself. Copying does not work. And I'm going to repeat that again. Copying does not work. You cannot copy a bestseller and expect sales. Yeah, you might be able to get a few sales off of them. And that's happened to me. People like copying my listings. And yeah, they get a few sales, but they're not going to get as many sales as I did because I was the first one in the marketplace to come up with that idea. So you have to
By the
create
way,
the desire.
that is completely true for Facebook as well. Copying
Yeah,
is, in the long run, copying other designs is not going to get you anywhere. It's not going to get you
no.
anywhere.
And the thing is too, with like Etsy, you know, like if you're the first listing with that creative idea, you're always going to have leeway, right? So if more sellers come in and steal your listing, yeah, they might be able to get a few sales off of you. But long run, like you said, in the long run, it's not really going to do much for you. Like it's not what's going to help you have a consistent business. And then, yeah, so you need to essentially, like, really the key is how do you create the perfect listing that understand what the desire is in the marketplace, and you attract these customers with that irresistible listing. Next slide.
I just want to bring attention to something real quick. So like, you're highlighting an important marketing principle, and that is a lot of people, especially when you're new to marketing, what you kind of think you're doing is you have a product and then you're getting people to want your product. But like, it's actually kind of the opposite. It's like, what you're trying to do is you're trying to find a big group of people and you're trying to figure out what they already want. And then you're trying to give them that thing, right? That is clever marketing right there. It's like, then you don't have to worry about arousing emotion. You don't have to worry about creating desire. You're tapping into it. It's different. Right? It's like what you're actually doing is you're basically talking to your prospect and you're saying, hey, you know that thing you already want and you already desire, right? Like that is this thing. That's your job as a marketer. It's just to bridge that. It's to connect those two things.
Exactly.
Anyway, it's a very important distinction, because when you're new in particular, you've got to get that on or you won't make sales. If you want to make a ton of sales, you have to figure out what the mainstream already wants, what big buyer demographics already want, and then give them that thing. Don't make a thing and then try to find somebody to sell to. Find a bunch of people that want something and then give it to them, right? That's
exactly.
Exactly.
And
these are great tips.
Yeah, no, and that's exactly how Etsy works, right? So if you look at this, like I pulled like a screenshot for like gift for mom, right? And so obviously some of these sellers have been in the marketplace for a while, so they are getting sales. And so you might look at it and be like, oh, they're getting sales. Let me tap into this. But you're going at it the wrong way, because most sellers and most beginners, what they do is they take this, they're like, oh, they're getting a lot of sales, so let me replicate it. And they simply replicate it and they don't add another aspect to it. They don't really work and they don't find a way to sort of like differentiate themselves. So one easy way, and I'm sure you guys already heard of this tactic, is instead of having a signature that's generic, like to my mom, is coming up with like another signature, right? Something like one that I've seen recently that's actually getting sales is like to my chosen mom, which is for a bonus mom, right? So even something as simple as having like a different signature already will set you apart. And I'll talk more about this, but when you are going after these more competitive niches, you actually need to be more creative. You need to pull data from other places in order for you to get your listing seen, right? And so I have a different angle. And yeah, we can share the next slide. So everyone's going after family niches, right? Like, and that's kind of what we're taught, right? Go after family niches. And I'm not necessarily saying you don't, but I have a different angle. I look at trends. I look at what is currently trending on Etsy. What are people into? And then I kind of work backwards from there. And I'm going to show you different examples. So there's a book that's really popular right now. It's called A Court of Thorns and Roses. It's ACOTAR. It's like a series of books. And no, I know what some of you are going to tell me. Oh, what about trademark issues? Hold off your horses. Take a like, relax. I have figured it out. But essentially, if you go on Etsy and you do a search for Volaris right now, you're going to be baffled. First and foremost, I think I share in the next slide. Next slide. Yeah, okay. So this very smart Shine On seller, whomever you are, I really have to give it to you, because this item is actually very generic. And to be quite honest, I'm surprised they got any sales, right? But why did they get sales and why is it in 6 people's cart? Because no one is thinking about this very trending book, which is Acotar Valeris, which don't ask me what it's about because I have no idea. But anyways, like, so it's just like a book that's really popular right now. And so they got a lot of sales during Christmas and it's still going strong. And this is something so simple. So if you were to come in and do something as simple as asking ChatGPT to give you a synopsis of the book, right? Actually add a proper message to something like this, you already have a winner. And somebody can take this idea right now, you'll have a sell. You're welcome.
Yeah,
So like something as simple as that, you know, like because they thought of it, because you always have to look, and I think this is in business in general, you always have to look where no one else is looking. If everybody, like, it's kind of like the gold rush, right? If everybody's like pointing the finger, hey, there's gold over here, what do you think is going to happen? Everybody's going to run where you're pointing the finger, where in reality, what you should be doing is looking at your surroundings and looking for other opportunities to see if there's any other angle around it. So this is exactly my tactic. And this is what I'm showing you guys, you know, like, and this could also be an opportunity. Like there could be a twist to it where you give this to like a mom or a new mom who's a fan of that specific book, and without getting into any sort of trademark issues, because obviously you have to be clever. Like don't use the same quotes of the books, like reword those quotes. So anybody who is a fan will understand it and know that it's you know, that it's speaking about that specific book. But like use ChatGPT or Jasper AI, any sort of AI copywriting tool to help you rewrite these and make it even like more sentimental. But this is a great example of something that, you know, I mean, honestly, like they didn't put much thought into it, but it works because they knew and understood what the Etsy audience wants.
It's really clever. It's really clever.
Mm-hmm. Okay, next slide. So this is another one. This actually was like, I think it was last Valentine's. It did really well. And it takes more effort, yes, because you have to have the image upload swapper on. And every time you get new data, you need to like change it around. But there's an app that allows you to create these maps. And again, this is really clever because no one else is doing it. And this is another thing that I was going to say. It's a low-hanging fruit. These days, you know, if you want to get traction with Shine On, you have to personalize your message card. So instead of saying to my mom, again, going back to like the mom thing, right, which is a more saturated niche, something as simple as adding the name, you know, can make all the difference.
Yeah, I've been just in case anybody has missed it, I've been highly encouraging this year people start to get into personalization. And it can be as simple as adding a name, right?
Yeah.
But I can tell you the top selling product we had in Q4 was an individual that had a personalized message card. So this is the wave of the future. Now, I will also tell you we're working on our own native personalization right inside the Shine On app. So if you hang out for another probably 2 or 3 weeks, you'll see it. You're going to have the ability to actually drag text fields into your designs and allow buyers to personalize. So that is right around the corner. It may even be done by the end of this month.
I love that.
Cole is working on that. So that's right around the corner, but this is the future. So you have to start thinking about incorporating personalization into your message cards.
Yeah, and that's another thing I want to mention. When it comes to Etsy, personalization is a really big thing. It usually outsells any other gifts, I would say. So actually, can you show the next slide? Because this is where they probably got their idea from, right? So again, like, don't be just limited to looking at what other Shine On sellers are doing. You really have to look across the board to get inspired and see what are best sellers on Etsy. Like, so they probably pulled the idea from this. They realized like, oh, wow, these custom maps are selling really well. Why don't I put that on a message card? They tested it. It worked. And to this day, it's still a bestseller. They listed it like 2 years ago, I think, or I know it wasn't this Valentine. It was like the previous Valentine's. So just comes to show you really have to get yourself out of this little, what's the best word I can use? Like you have to broaden your horizon, right? Don't be so pigeonholed into only looking at Etsy listings and only looking at the family niche. Like, you really have to like look at it from a different lens. Look at it as, what are Etsy sellers into, and how can I get this these items that they're really attracted to, right? Like, these items are actually selling. How can I translate that into a shine on product?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I dig that. I totally dig that. This is awesome, by the way.
Yeah, so this is another example of something. I mean, sorry, my French comes out sometime, but like, it's cute, but if you were trying to do that for like a Mother's Day gift, it would not work. Like, we all know it's too simple, right? And there's a couple things that don't work with the design as well. Like, you can't really read the text. There's not enough contrast. So why is this selling so well? Because again, like, the zodiac horoscope niche is really hot. They went after it. It's kind of a personalized gift, right? Because it's for someone who's born in March, Pisces. But if you were to simply go in, create something that has stronger value from a sentimental standpoint, have a stronger message, and go after this zodiac niche, I mean, there you go. Instead of doing birthday, you do like the zodiac niche. And again, this can have like multiple application. You could also do this for like a Mother's Day gift. Like, so it's just looking at it from a different angle. Yeah, I mean, this is another one where I was in shock. Like, wow,
Yeah.
3 cards.
I never would have anticipated this one would sell. That's crazy.
Yeah, but it's because they knew where to look. So this is a really good example, this other one. So obviously this is a different necklace. There's actually a couple Shine On sellers who replicated this listing. But the reason this does so well, this listing's been around for about a year now. It's an encouragement gift. And so that's another category that does really well on Etsy. Anything that it's like encouraging gifts, right? So instead of, again, writing to my mom, you could have an encouragement gift for your mother, your like granddaughter, whatever it is, right? And obviously don't copy the signature. It's already been done, but try to come up with other signatures that are going to resonate and are going to be encouragement gifts. And I mean, this is a very simple necklace. Like, you could literally do this with any Shine On necklace. So again, it's like understanding where there's desire on Etsy, and then going after the desire, and not going at it the other way around, where you're trying to go after these family niches and you're looking where everybody else is looking, and then trying to fit your product in the marketplace. And then you're throwing spaghetti at the wall and you're like, why is it not sticking? And it's like, well, it's not sticking because how is your listing different than everything else that's out there? How do you think you're going to differentiate yourself? And that's why most beginners get frustrated with Etsy, and they blame Etsy because they're going at it the wrong way. So yeah, data is king. And I'm sure, Michael, you say that all the time as well. Like, data is king. You have to look at your data. You have to know what are people into. And another thing I want to mention is, don't limit yourself to just looking on Etsy. I get inspired on Instagram. I get inspired on Pinterest. I get inspired on TikTok. Everything and everywhere is an opportunity for me to get inspired. I even get inspired at Target. Do you do that, Michael? Like, I'll go at Target.
I'm always looking for opportunities. It never stops. It never stops. Yeah.
When you go to Target, like, they have like these little message card necklaces. I will look at the one that's like the most sold out, where there's only one left, and I'll literally take a picture. You could even go to Hallmark. Yeah, you could even like go in like the message card section, and see the ones where there's like only a few left. Like, you have to get inspired everywhere, because you never know where you're gonna find inspiration.
I do it with songs, movies, shows. Like anytime there's something like there's an emotional like beat in a movie, and like there's some dialogue going back and forth. Like, I'm trying to listen in on like why it works, like what allows like that moment to build, because those are all things that you can take and then like put into phrases and put into your product and try to arouse emotion in other people, get them to cry so they'll buy, right? So I'm kind of
Exactly.
I'm just turned on all the time to that stuff.
Yeah, and you have to be, because at the end of the day, if your listing is vanilla, and this goes for Facebook or TikTok, it goes for anything. If your listing is vanilla, I hate to break it to you, you're never gonna have sales. Like, so you could bring all the traffic in the world, you're not gonna get any sales. So now I don't want you to feel like overwhelmed, like, oh my God, I'm not that creative. I'm never gonna come up with something. I just showed you guys like specific example of someone who just kind of went a different route. Their listing wasn't even that strong and they're getting sales.
Here's what I found.
Oh, sorry. My watch is like talking to me. Oh my God. Okay, we can go to the next slide. So yeah, the more saturated a niche is, so like the Valentine, like to my boyfriend niche is obviously more saturated, but there's still plenty of opportunities. You just have to be more creative and you have to come up with a different angle. So that's why what I showed, with the map, it just worked well. So essentially, yeah, you need the right formula and you need the right map in order to get to your destination, right? So first is obviously research, understanding what the shoppers want, really tapping into their desire, like having a listing that is irresistible, that is going to really appeal to the reptilian brain of your customer. So having something that is irresistible, like, oh my God, I'm so into astrology right now. So like, obviously that listing is going to appeal to them because they're really into astrology right now, like zodiac. And I think it probably has to do a lot too with on TikTok, like astrology and like tarot card reading is really in. So that probably is where the trend came from. So like trends really emerge from all places, right? And then you also the analogy that I love to give about Etsy is that Etsy is a big field and you want to plant as many crops as possible. Like obviously be strategic in different places. Or you could also look at as real estate. Real estate is actually probably a better analogy. So if you've ever lived in Manhattan, right, there's certain neighborhoods that are more expensive, like Chelsea. There's more people in those neighborhoods. So obviously there's more at stakes. So for those neighborhoods where there's more competition, in order for you to get a little bit of the stake, you have to go at it differently, right? You have to come up with something else. Obviously, other neighborhoods where there's less people, it's easier for you to like plant your stake and be like, oh, I'm going to be here, but you might not get as much traffic. So I recommend when it comes to Etsy, you want to like plant different crops in different places. So this is the accumulation of it's going to help you get consistent sales. Then you want to analyze and look at what's working and what's not. So if you have a listing that's getting a lot of favorites, but you're not getting sales, then you need to rework your listing. Like I see people crying to me like, oh, I'm getting all these favorites, but it's not getting sales. Okay, well, that's positive data. Keep moving forward. Like, don't just let the listing die. Like, try to find a way to optimize this listing. Understand why you're not getting sales. And it has nothing to do with price, guys. Again, like price, like that's a narrative that you've built. Because if somebody really likes something and it really speaks to them, they will purchase it. So
100%. By the way, Shine On would not exist if that weren't true, right?
Exactly.
Because you could find, and by the way, this has been true all the way back to 2016 when we started. You could find any one of our necklaces almost anywhere else on the internet for cheaper. Seriously, that has always existed. The reason Shine On works is because the products are unique. It's that phrase. It's if you can move the buyer emotionally when they read it, they'll buy. It doesn't matter about the price anymore, right? And that's all you're saying. The exact same thing. It's a sacred cow. We need to kill it. This whole idea that price is what is the primary motivator of a purchase. It is not.
It's not. It's emotions. So 100%. You really need to tap into that reptilian brain, that desire, right? And then once you have a winner, then you can throw in the ads. Then you can like continue building a brand. Then you can scale your winners. But do not do that until you've figured out your winners. And just like you do with Facebook ads, where you test different ideas, the same needs to happen with Etsy. You need to test different ideas. And when you do get data that people are going to your listing or they're favoriting, that's positive data. So don't just stop there. Continue and continue to upgrade or optimize accordingly.
And so tell me if I'm jumping ahead here, but I have a question
Yeah.
around this. So, I mean,
Yeah.
let's pretend you're getting the favorites and you're saying that, like, you know, that's good data coming in. You should go like tweak the listing. What do you mean by tweak the listing though? Do you mean like create a new message card and a new product like with the same phrase? Is that what you mean by the listing, or do you mean go back with the SEO and the description and stuff?
Oh my God. So that's where it could be frustrating for some. It could be anything, right? So sometimes it can be the design, right? Where it's just not quite there yet, where there's not enough contrast or it's hard to read. Sometimes it's adding, sometimes it's just like the signature that needs work. Sometimes it's the messaging that needs work. So you have to re-upload a few times to kind of get a sense of like what has potential. It's also happened to me actually, like sometimes it takes like a couple days, you know, for you to start getting those sales, because like, especially when you're testing holidays, like it happened to me with one like Valentine's Day listing where I was getting a lot of favorite upfront. And so I started uploading different permutations. And then actually the first one is the one that started getting sales. And it's because I was too early into that holiday shopping.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't stop when I get favorites. I continue uploading until I get it right. And then two, another thing is if a message working well, don't just get limit. Like let's say it's like a boyfriend message. Well, then try to see if it could work for a girlfriend or a mom or a daughter. Like try to figure out a way for it to work in different niches. Just don't get like, you know, siloed and just that one winner. Like that's when this is your opportunity. You have positive data. So start scaling it to like find different opportunities for it.
Yeah, this is awesome. This is great stuff. By the way, you people out there listening to this is like Luna should be charging for this.
I should. I know. You guys better hit me up on social media.
Buy her a coffee.
Buy me a coffee. Exactly. Okay. So honestly, the roadblocks, like the other roadblocks that I see a lot is people overthinking it, being perfectionist, you know, assuming they know how Etsy works, and spending time on like meaningless tasks. I mean, yeah, I guess I get asked a lot taxes. And I'm like, did you even get any sales? I mean, I know I sound like a jerk. I don't mean to. Like, I mean, and no, again, I'm in a different.
Hang on, you're not being a jerk at all. Like you can't. Everybody needs to realize this. You will not succeed if you are not willing to make a little bit, to be messy. Like you need to take imperfect action. You need to move before you have all the data, right? Yeah. Like this tax thing. I would challenge anybody out there worried about taxes. I would challenge you to make it a problem for yourself.
Exactly.
Make so many sales that the taxes are actually a problem for yourself. If you're not in that situation, you probably shouldn't be worrying about taxes at all. I don't think you're being a jerk. It's just truth. I mean, honestly, it's just people need to hear that. Like if you're just getting started, you've got to move forward, one foot in front of the other, and you're going to have to learn.
Yeah, it's like, start doing. And that's the thing with Etsy that I personally love is you can be extremely messy. You don't need to have a store per se. Like, I mean, yeah, you need to have some like personal data and you need to have your credit card. Like you need to have some basics, right? But you literally can have a store in an hour or half an hour. Like that's how easy it is to set up, right? So don't focus on all this other stuff because it really does not matter, right? And also just you're not being consistent. That's another big one.
Yeah, I think this was really good. There's truth there.
And I forgot to mention, I should have like mentioned that at the beginning. I created for you guys like a little sheet, which is really helpful when you're creating a listing, you know, thinking about what problem you're solving. So like if you're giving a gift for someone who perhaps it's like encouragement gift, Like, what problem are you solving? Maybe that person they're giving a gift to is like somebody who's going through cancer. Like, that's another great niche on Etsy, you know? Or like somebody who's recovering from a surgery. Then is there data that that there's demand for the specific listing? Would my gift make someone laugh or cry? Is it unique? Is it irresistible? So answering all these questions and having like a check mark will help you have a stronger listing that will get you eyeballs. And it all comes down to it. So I want you to stop obsessing over how to make eRank work, which is a Etsy keyword research tool. Like, I want you to stop obsessing about that. And I want you instead to focus on where to find opportunities and create irresistible listings. Then the rest, the title, the SEO, all that, yes, it will help, you know, get you more traffic and more eyeballs. But at the end of the day, it all comes back to how irresistible a listing is.
Yeah, this is great stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah, this was good. You did fantastic, by the way.
Thank you.
All right, so Q&A.
Q&A.
Let's do
Wait,
like I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes of Q&A, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, it's perfect.
All right, so drop your questions in the chat below. Drop your questions. I'll keep an eye on the chat, and then what we'll do, Luna, is I'll pull them up on the screen, and we'll kind of go through them that way. Real quick, though, I want to get us kind of kicked off. How do you identify the trends? This is something I was kind of wondering the whole time.
That's my secret sauce.
Yeah, it is your secret sauce. Well, you said they come from TikTok?
It comes from everywhere. It comes from everywhere. I mean, I spend a lot of time on Etsy. And you have to use I use a lot of different spy tools, you know, whether it's like Etsy spy tools or even like Facebook ad spy tools as well. So it's just a combination. And I mean, yeah, that's kind of I'm really strong with trends. Yeah. I don't know. There's not like a perfect recipe. I would say you just have to keep your eyes peeled, right? And you have to spend a lot of time like looking at what has potential. You can also go on Pinterest. There's a new Chrome extension that came out, which I can share with everybody later. I forgot the name of it, but essentially it tells you how many likes a different Pinterest pin has. It's called Pinterest Sort Extension, and it's a Chrome extension. So looking on Pinterest for pins that have a lot of likes, like different poems as well, is good insight. Looking at Netflix show, granted, that one's a little like gray hat. You know, you have to be careful when you go after a Netflix show, because obviously some stuff can get taken down.
Yeah.
But that's where you have to be smart.
Yeah.
You can't, but there's ways around it. Like, I would say that obviously don't use the graphics, don't use the fonts. But like, for instance, I'll give you an example. Harry Potter is a big no-no, right? You can't go after Harry Potter. But this whole concept of like dark academia, you can go after that. And that's related to Harry Potter. So that's kind of like how you go around it.
Oh, that's interesting. It's like a dream within a dream thing. It's like a trope inside of this world. That's super interesting to tap into.
So that's how you tap into it.
That's clever. That's super. Okay, we got some questions coming in here real quick. One from Martin. Would you add the book name to the title and the tags?
No, you would add, so Velaris is the book series. So you would add that to the title and you would add that to the tags. But that's about it. Yeah. When it comes to tags and titles, it's all about adding, first the hobby you're going after, the recipient, and then who it's going for. Like, I mean, to be honest, what I do is I usually look at like some of the bestsellers, and I get inspired from their titles, and I kind of like mix match it. And then when it comes to eRank or coming up with tags, I do high competition tags and low competition tags. I do a mix. And I, to be honest, I don't overthink it, because I've gone sales with like the worst tags. So that's just a myth.
Don't you just kind of need to think through what people are searching for?
Yes.
Like, we're going to start there. Because
Yes.
I've got to think like the example of the book. People, if they want something related to that book, they're going to be typing in probably the title of the book or the name of the author or something like
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah. Exactly.
you have to use some degree of common sense. It sounds like Bratty Kitties is uh, that's got to be a Facebook page, Bratty Kitties.
I love that.
Does Luna have a coaching program as well?
Yes, I have a coaching program. You can find me on, just DM me on Facebook or Instagram and I'll give you the details.
Yeah, very good. Thank you. All right. What do you use to copy Shopify listings to an Etsy store? So do you do that? Do you have Shopify and Etsy, or are you just kind of all in on
Oh
Etsy?
no, I have Shopify. Yeah. I use CED Commerce. Yeah.
Said
Yeah.
Commerce.
Said
C
Commerce.
Commerce is the app in the store.
Yes. So that's what I use.
Yeah, very good. All right. What do you do? What do you do when you start to feel overwhelmed with everything?
I'm always overwhelmed. No, but okay. So something I like to tell actually my community is that it's like working out, right? Like when I first started, and I'm sure for anybody who's in this industry, it's hard when you first start, but you have to make it a habit. There's an amazing book that I always recommend people to read, which pretty much talks about it takes 30 days to form a habit, right? So if you sit down at the same hour, right, and you just work on Shine On every day at 7 a.m. or 6 a.m. And yeah, it sucks. You might have to wake up early for 30 days. I like mornings because I'm just sharper in the morning. I'm just
Me too.
in the evenings, like my brain starts to dwindle down. But whatever works for you, block off this hour where you know you don't have kids, you don't have anybody around, and just work on Shine On every day. But you have to be consistent because unfortunately, if you only do it sporadically, your results are going to be sporadic. So I'd rather you spend 30 minutes every day on Shine On and just pushing the needle just a little bit. You're going to get further ahead than if you just do it only in the weekends. Why? Because that's how our brains are. The more you do a task and it becomes repetitive, the easier it gets. And unfortunately, when we only do that task once a week, it's not enough to form a habit. So that's why most feel overwhelmed because they try to go at it. They're too ambitious. They're like, oh, I'm going to do this all weekend. No, you're better off doing it an hour every day than going and doing like an 8-hour session. That's my recommendation. And that actually what's worked for me. Like when I started Shine On, I was working on it every day. I was like putting the time to work on it a little bit every day. And you
Well,
get better and better and better.
I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
I'm kind of a creature of habit anyway. I suppose, probably most of us are.
Mhm.
But yeah, I get up every single day at the exact same time every single day, and I work on my stuff every single day. And when I say every single day, I mean it. I'm doing it 7 days a week. I'll do it on a lot of
Mhm.
holidays, even when I go on vacation, because I'm just so used to it. I'll
Yeah.
kind of like I'm not saying every day. Sometimes I try to unplug a little bit, but even when I'm on vacation, I just kind of wake up and I want to work on something because I'm like I've got myself attuned to that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I completely agree with you. There's an analogy I use. I'm going to try to share it here, even though it's a little imperfect. But a lot of times, especially with business type stuff, I always think about, you're building momentum, right? This is really what you're trying to do. And if you think about pushing a car, right? Imagine you have a car, it's in neutral, it won't start, whatever, and you're pushing it, and you're trying to get the momentum built up in this car so that it's easier to push. And like the hardest part about it is getting the car to go from being still, like stopped, to going 1 or 2 miles an hour if you're pushing it. But once it's going 1 or 2 miles an hour, it's actually kind of easy, right? Like you
Mhm.
don't need to exert as much energy to just maintain the 1 or 2 miles an hour, the push speed, as you did when you got it from a standstill to 1 to 2 miles an hour, right? Now, to tie that into what you were saying, imagine this. Imagine if you're trying to build momentum, you're trying to get this car moving, And what you're
Yep.
doing is you're pushing it for about 5 seconds, and then you stop for a couple days, and you come back and you push for 5 seconds, and you stop for a couple days. Think how long it's going to take you to get that car to go 100 yards versus if you just pushed it every single day at the same time. You just kept the routine and the habit up and got it to the 100-yard mark. So I don't know if that's a perfect analogy, but I think people
It
get
is.
the
It
principle of
is.
momentums I'm trying to highlight.
And then people get frustrated because they feel like they get nowhere. So starting a little bit every day is better than doing it only once a week. You're going to get
Totally.
more momentum. And
What's the
also
name of the
be
book?
like,
So
oh my God, hold on. I have to look for it. I think it's the habit book.
it's
Let me
Atomic
see.
Habits. Atomic
The
Habits.
power of habit, why we do what we do in life and business.
Okay, the
And
power of habit.
yeah, in this book they talk about, did you know that Jerry Seinfeld writes a joke every day?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is that non-zero days principle I was talking about, where it's
Yeah.
like every day, rain or shine, put your butt in a
Yeah.
chair and move your business forward.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, I
And
love this stuff.
and that's the hardest thing. I think I would say mindset is so important, guys. Like it's the foundation of whether or not you're going to be successful. I know I sound like Akuna, or what's it called? I sound like I don't know. Yeah, Akuna Matata, but it's so true.
No, I agree with you. I've done entire Coffee with Michaels on mindset alone because it's super important. It's super
Yeah.
important. There's a few key mindsets you have to be dialed in on if you want to be successful here.
Mhm.
All right, let's go to the next one. What's the biggest mistake you've made, and what did you learn? I think that's
Ego. So guys, like I've been a digital marketer for a while. Like I started 10 years ago in this field, and yeah, like when I started, I had a big ego because I mean, I do know a lot of stuff, but I had to realize that I didn't know what I didn't know. And that was my hardest lesson is I think now like I'm a better entrepreneur, better business person because I'm more open-minded. I listen to people versus when I started, I kind of had a big ego, and I mean, I don't know if it's because I worked in advertising as well. Like I work in the corporate side of digital advertising. So I thought I knew it all. Oh gosh, was I wrong? So I think once you let go of your ego and you're open to learning, that's when everything will click.
Yeah, that's a good one. Is it better to find what will sell unique items versus more popular items? Is it better to find what will sell unique items versus
I
more
don't understand
popular
the
items?
question.
I think
I
I
mean,
think that
something,
I think they might
tell
be
me.
asking the difference, kind of what you said earlier, where you have trends which are unique versus
Mhm.
like something real big in the family niche, which is
Right,
popular. I
right.
think. I don't know.
I mean, I would say that when you're a beginner, I call them low hanging fruits. Right? So low hanging fruits are going to be easy. And low hanging fruits are low competition keywords, but those will obviously give you less traffic, right? So if you go after like a very like sub niche, like I don't know, sister of a sister, I don't know, like it's not coming to me, but you get the gist, right? Where there's just not that many searches, that's going to be easier because you don't have as much competition, but you're not going to get as many sales. So that's a low hanging fruit. So as a beginner, I say yes, do that because it's going to help you boost your confidence. And yeah, go after these unique. Like I just showed you these listings. I mean, sorry, they were kind of mediocre listings and they're getting sales. And why?
Yeah.
Because they're going after these trends and nobody else is thinking of it. So yeah, start there and then you will build up the confidence. Somebody like me, I've been doing this forever. Like it's easier for me to go after a family niche because I know how to kind of intertwine everything, and that takes time.
Yeah, it's very good. All right. How do you optimize listings that made a couple sales?
Uh, well, if it's made a couple sales, I just start pushing ads, make sure that my ROS is like two and above, which by the way, you can see that inside Etsy. And then I see if I can scale it in different niches, like I talked about, like, okay, can I create this idea in different places? Like, is there opportunity for me to grow this concept?
How many listings do you do a day? I recommend 1 to 2 maximum. I recommend 1 to 2 maximum on a new store.
It's
This
not
someone may
about
have been
quantity,
answering
it's
somebody
about
else's
quality.
question. It's
I would
not
say it's
quantity, it's quality.
yeah.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense actually.
But I mean, I would say start with uploading like 2 listings a day, and go from there, like, or 5 listings a day. I mean, I would say when you're starting, you probably want to upload more because you just don't have data. Like when I started, I went nuts. I started with 5 a day, then 10 a day. Like I went ape shit. But with time now, I don't need to do that anymore because now I have a better pulse on what works and what doesn't work.
Here we go. I think this might be the last one for today. Do you concentrate on one niche or do you create one and then move to another?
No, I work on multiple niches at once.
Yeah, this is your cropping thing, you're planting crops thing, right? It's like you're
Yep.
planting all over, just seeing where you can get traction.
Yep. Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, that's good. Do you have, I think we'll wrap up from there. Do you have any like kind of parting words for people? Where can they find out about you? I have a slide for that, don't I?
Oh yeah,
Oh, I
there's a
do. Let me
slide.
pull this back up.
Yeah, so guys, I have a lot of YouTube tutorials where I'm pretty thorough and I spend a lot of time explaining how Etsy works and also like talk about my strategies, like Shine On strategy. So I have a full free tutorial there. I also have like a free Facebook group. You guys can find me. It's e-commerce boss insider with Luna Vega. And there you can ask me whatever questions you have. Like I have a community of like 1,900 now. So yeah, or hit me up on Instagram since TikTok might be rest in peace.
So look, Luna also has a really big TikTok. Is it a channel? Is it called a channel on
Yeah,
TikTok?
yeah.
She has a very big TikTok channel. So you probably want to go check out the stuff there. I follow you on TikTok and the content
Oh,
that comes out is
nice.
fire. Yeah.
I love it.
I'm not on TikTok that much, but still. So yeah, go check her out on TikTok too. But yes, since TikTok is probably getting the axe because we're not doing the digital marketers toast over there, you're
That's
going to want to
why.
follow her from other places too. Well,
Yeah,
hey,
this was so much fun.
if StreamYard let us stream this to TikTok, maybe they wouldn't have this problem right now. But
I know.
it's StreamYard's
Aw.
fault if you think about it.
It is. It's all StreamYard's fault. It's all because of the Kofi with Michael.
It is. It is actually. Whoops. What's your
My
Instagram?
Instagram is Miss Luna Vega. It's I use the same tag everywhere, the same handle.
Robin's dropping a bunch of your links in the chat here.
Yeah,
So thank
thank
you, Robin.
you.
You rock. Okay, Luna, thanks for coming on. This was awesome.
This was awesome. So much fun.
Yeah,
What a great way to start my day.
yeah, well, it's for us too. For us too. In fact, you're gonna find your whole weekend is better now. I'm telling you,
I know.
this is magic.
It's so much fun. I know.
Yeah.
I had so much fun. I love helping people. It's fun.
Yeah, awesome. All right, well, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in this week. Really appreciate having you. Give Luna a big thank you in the chat. Let her know how much you appreciated her.
Aw.
Luna, we will have you on again in the future for sure.
Sounds good.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. Until next time, everybody, happy selling. Take care.
Bye, guys.